In the Builders category for this year's Hall of Fame, Field Hockey Canada honors an innovator who took the game to new heights.
Well, I think it's a great honor. Came out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it.
Everybody who plays in the Pan American Games owes Tony something. He got hockey in as a Pan Am sport.
Tony grew up in Dublin, Ireland, and was introduced to the game at Voker School when he was just 11 years old, but didn't take the game seriously until his university years at Trinity College, where he credits his early exposure to playing the game at the university level.
First of all, my experience at Voker School. Secondly, it was a game that I was physically designed to do. I could run very fast. That is me.
Boyd played for a couple of years before taking a big leap and moving to Canada in the mid-50s. When he landed in Toronto, he found there wasn't much of a field hockey presence in the country.
In fact, when I came to Canada, I didn't know that hockey was even played here. I should say field hockey was played here. I knew ice hockey was played here, but hockey and field hockey in those days had a very, very low profile.
But the game somehow found him while wandering around the streets of Toronto.
Suddenly I saw coming a person on board the streetcar who was carrying a field hockey stick. So I went over to him and said, "Do you play field hockey here?" And he told me yes, he was just going to the practice.
This interaction led to Boyd connecting with the Toronto Field Hockey Club and playing for 2 years before moving to Vancouver in 1957. It was in Vancouver where he joined the Redbird Field Hockey Club and began to think like a builder.
I was interested in trying to get the Vancouver leagues into a greater collection of the national and maybe the international events.
Boyd's ambition led him to being elected as president of the BC Field Hockey Association in 1959 while simultaneously being a player.
One of the main reasons I was elected then was I indicated an interest in doing that sort of thing. Remember, I was an immigrant. I didn't know very many people. It was a great opportunity to meet people. And I was quite happy to spend my time looking after field hockey at the same time as working and as well as playing.
One of Boyd's big goals as president was to establish a national governing body for Canadian field hockey.
I wanted to try and develop the game into a better recognized game in Vancouver and later on in Canada. Very few people really took any interest in it. We could hardly get any newspaper coverage or anything like that.
Boyd ended up accomplishing that goal and helped found the Canadian Field Hockey Association in May 1961 and was able to get the organization to be members of the International Hockey Federation in 1962. All the steps were now put in place for his ultimate goal.
Our long-term target was the Olympic Games. It's the pinnacle of hockey in the world.
The national team, which included Boyd as a player, was then sent to a tournament in Lyon, France, where they managed to be the first Canadian team to qualify for the Olympics in Canadian history. Boyd considers qualifying and playing in the 1964 Tokyo Olympics to be the proudest moment of his career.
Of course, that was big news. And we celebrated to quite an extent.
His efforts in bringing the field hockey team to the Olympic Games led to him getting a role as vice president of the Canadian Field Hockey Association in 1965, where he looked to change the game once more by introducing the entire sport to the Pan American Games.
And I remember I had quite a difficulty getting some of the countries to even agree to even think of sending teams to the Pan Americans because they thought they weren't good enough. But I finally did persuade 10 countries to send a letter to us which indicated their interest in attending the competition.
Not only did he succeed, but his work ultimately led to the Pan Ams being a deciding factor in qualifying for the Olympics.
Well, it gave me a great sense of achievement, yes. I think we had done everything that we had set out to do, and probably a little bit more.
After the 1967 Pan Ams, Boyd decided to walk away from the sport in order to focus on his family, but would continue to play the sport recreationally until 1985. When looking back on his career, Boyd is grateful to have his accomplishments cemented in the Field Hockey Canada Hall of Fame.
Well, as a member of the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't ask for anything more than that. It was a lot more than I ever expected to get beforehand. My name is Tony Boyd, and I have been elected into the Hall of Fame for Field Hockey Canada. Thank you very much.